The doors burst inward before Kinzo could protest further. Conclave peacekeepers flooded the room, their crystalline armor refracting the starlight into deadly prisms. At their head stood Archon Vel Thursday, his phosphorescent eyes burning with barely contained rage. "Commander Voss," he said, voice like grinding glass, "you are under arrest for crimes against galactic peace. Your execution will remind humanity of its proper place in our order." Lyra smiled, a sharp expression that held no mirth. "No, Archon. My execution will remind humanity why we never should have trusted you at all." As they led her away in chains, Lyra caught one last glimpse of the stars through her window. Somewhere out there, the truth was spreading like wildfire across the galaxy. She had lit the spark. Now it was up to others to feed the flames. Kinzo watched from hiding as they took her, the data crystal burning in his palm like ember of revolution. The Conclave thought they were maintaining order. Instead, they had just started a war. Ambassador's choice. Commander Lyra Voss stood before the massive observation window of the Terran diplomatic vessel Starweaver, watching the crystalline spires of the stellar conclave's capital world glitter like frozen lightning against the violet sky. Her reflection showed a woman hardened by decades of service, steel gray hair pulled back in a severe braid, sharp features that had forgotten how to soften, and eyes that had seen too much to look away now. "They're going to kill you for this," said Kinzo Tanaka, her second in command. He stood in the shadows of her office, datapad clutched in his weathered hands. The holographic evidence they'd uncovered floated between them, proof of the Conclave's secret biological weapons program, tested on innocent colonists in the Outer Rim. "Probably," Lyra replied, her voice steady despite the weight of what was to come. "But if we stay silent, they'll kill millions more." The Stellar Conclave had ruled the known galaxy for 3 centuries, presenting themselves as enlightened guardians of peace and progress. Humanity had joined their federation 50 years ago, eager to learn from seemingly advanced civilizations. But beneath the crystalline towers and flowing robes, Lyra had discovered something rotting. "The transmission is ready," Kinzo said. "Once we broadcast this to every colony and independent world, there's no going back." Lyra turned from the window, her movements deliberate. The Conclave preaches about unity and evolution, while they engineer plagues to keep rebellious systems in line. How many species have they already wiped out? How many more will die if we don't act? The evidence had come to her through a network of whispers and dead drops, records of experiments, genetic sequences designed to target specific racial markers, lists of test subjects. The Conclave hadn't just been preparing these weapons, they'd been using them for decades, explaining away the deaths as natural disasters or mysterious epidemics. "The security forces are already watching us," Kinzo warned. "They know we've been asking questions. The moment we transmit, then we make it count." Lyra placed her hand on the biometric scanner of her secure terminal. "Send everything. Not just to human colonies, to every world, every station, every independent settlement. Let them see what their guardians really are." The data streamed out across subspace channels, breaking through the Conclave's communications barriers like lightning through clouds. For 30 seconds, truth poured across the galaxy. Then the alarms began. "Security forces approaching," the ship's AI announced. "Multiple vessels on intercept course." Lyra straightened her diplomatic uniform, touching the silver oak leaves that marked her rank. "Kinzo, get to the emergency shuttle. Take as many of the crew as you can. I won't leave you here." "Yes, you will." Her voice cracked like a whip. "Because someone needs to make sure this doesn't end with me. Someone needs to tell Earth what really happened here." She pressed a small data crystal into his hand. "And someone needs to finish what we started." The Captain Marcus Sterling watched the execution feed with clenched fists, his knuckles white against the command chair of the TSS Hyperion. The Conclave had made it mandatory viewing across all channels. Commander Lyra Voss, proud even in chains, facing her death before the assembled might of the galaxy's ruling elite. "Turn it off," he growled, but Chief Communications Officer Ren Patel shook her head. They're using quantum lock transmissions, sir. We can't block it. The Hyperion's bridge crew watched in horrified silence as Archon Vel Thursday read the charges. Crimes against peace. Sedition. Spreading false propaganda about non-existent weapons programs. Each accusation more outrageous than the last. Incoming transmission, Rin announced suddenly. It's from Kinzo Tanaka. Marcus leaned forward. Put him through. Secure channel. The holoscreen split, showing Kinzo's face alongside the execution feed. He looked haunted, aged decades in the weeks since Lyra's arrest. Sterling, tell me you've seen the data we transmitted. Every bit of it. The biological weapons labs, the test subjects, everything. Marcus ran a hand through his close-cropped black hair. We've confirmed it's authentic. The Conclave really is developing engineered plagues. They're not just developing them. Kinzo's voice cracked. The latest data shows they're preparing for deployment. Multiple human colonies are on their target list. They're going to make examples of us. On the execution feed, Lyra stepped onto the platform. Her voice rang out, clear and defiant. You can kill me, but you cannot kill the truth. Humanity will not bow to it. The beam struck. Commander Lyra Voss, hero of the Proxima War, diplomatic envoy to the Conclave, disappeared in a flash of searing light. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, something had changed in their depths. Kinzo, where are you now? Hidden, deep in the outer rim. But I'm not alone. The camera panned, revealing a tall, crystalline figure standing behind him. Meet Heltar, former Conclave scientist. He's been helping their test subjects escape for years. The alien stepped forward, its faceted body catching the light like living diamond. The Conclave has betrayed everything they claim to stand for, it said, voice resonating like wine through crystal. Many of my people see this now, thanks to Commander Voss's sacrifice. We want to help. Marcus studied the alien carefully. How many others like you are there? More than the Archons know. We have been gathering evidence, building networks, waiting for the right moment. Heltar's crystalline form pulsed with inner light. That moment has come. Captain, Rin interrupted, her dark eyes wide. You need to see this. The main view screen filled with dozens of incoming transmissions. Colony ships breaking orbit. Military vessels going dark. Mining outposts declaring independence. All across human space, the execution had triggered exactly what the Conclave feared most. Unity. The Luna shipyards just pledged their entire fleet to resistance efforts, Rin reported. Mars is mobilizing its defense forces. Even the Titan separatists are calling for action. Marcus allowed himself a grim smile. They thought killing her would keep us in line. Instead, they just gave us a martyr. He turned back to Kinzo's transmission. Can your Conclave friends get us intel on their weapons facilities? Already compiled, Heltar answered. Along with defense protocols, security codes, and patrol routes. The Archons trust my kind to maintain their systems. They never considered we might object to genocide. Sir, First Officer Diana Rodriguez spoke up from her station. The Conclave will be monitoring all major military movements. If we're going to strike, we need to coordinate across multiple sectors simultaneously. Hit them before they can respond. Marcus nodded slowly, a plan forming. Kinzo, get that intel to every human captain you can trust. Heltar, reach out to your people. We'll need all the allies we can get. He stood, addressing his crew. The Conclave thinks they can control us through fear. They're about to learn that fear cuts both ways. The next 12 hours were a blur of encrypted transmissions and coded orders. Ships gathered in the darkness between stars. Colonial defense forces merged with professional military units. A fleet unlike anything humanity had ever assembled began to take shape. Latest count puts us at over 300 vessels, Diana reported. Everything from corvettes to dreadnoughts. Plus whatever support Heltar's people can provide. The Conclave has thousands of ships, Rin pointed out. True, Marcus said. But they have to protect an entire galaxy. We just have to hit them where it hurts. He activated the ship-wide comm. All hands, battle stations. Today we show the Conclave that humanity remembers its own. Today we show them that every action has consequences. As the Hyperion's engines rumbled to life, Marcus thought of Lyra's final words, cut short by her executioners. He made a silent promise to finish what she had started. The Conclave had ruled through fear for centuries. Now it was time for them to learn what real fear felt like. All ships, this is Captain Sterling. For Commander Voss. For Earth. For justice. He took a deep breath. Fire at will. Across dozens of sectors, humanity's answer to tyranny began with a single, coordinated strike. The revolution Lyra died for was about to show its teeth. Shadow Warriors. Lieutenant Nova Reed moved through the shadows of the Conclave bioresearch facility like a ghost, her quantum stealth suit bending light around her form. The massive laboratory complex on Centauri Prime had once been disguised as a medical research center. Now, thanks to Commander Voss's revelations, they knew its true purpose. Target is 3 levels down, whispered technical specialist Raj Kumar through her neural link. Security systems show minimal activity, but something feels off. Nova paused at a junction, scanning with enhanced sensors. Agreed. It's too quiet. She checked the bio readings on her heads-up display. Where is everyone? The facility should have been bustling with scientists and guards. Instead, most sections registered as empty. Only the deep research levels showed signs of life, and those signatures were strange. Nova, movement ahead, Raj warned. Signature doesn't match known Conclave patterns. A figure shambled into view, a Conclave scientist, but something was wrong. Their crystalline form was warped, organic matter growing through the mineral structure like corrupt veins. The being moved jerkily, as if fighting its own body. Gods, Nova breathed. They're testing the weapons on their own people. She pressed herself against the wall as the corrupted scientist passed. Her mission was clear. Get to the central database, extract evidence of the next planned deployment, then plant charges to destroy the facility. But this changed things. Raj, are you seeing these readings? The bioweapon isn't just killing them, it's mutating them. Confirmed. But Nova, that's not the worst part. I'm detecting similar mutations spreading through the facility's ventilation system. Whatever they were working on, it got loose. Nova swore softly. Alert Captain Sterling. Tell him we need a quarantine zone around this entire sector. And get me a route to the main lab. We need to find out exactly what we're dealing with. She moved deeper into the facility, each level revealing more horror. Scientists fused with their workstations. Guards whose crystalline forms had shattered, revealing pulsing organic matter beneath. The Conclave's weapons had evolved beyond their control. The main laboratory doors were sealed with emergency protocols, but Nova's neural implants, designed to interface with Conclave tech, made short work of them. Inside, she found answers, but not the ones she'd expected. Raj, she subvocalized, are you receiving this data? Coming through now and... Wait. This can't be right. His voice shook slightly. According to these files, the mutations aren't an accident. They're exactly what the Conclave wanted. Nova moved between workstations, absorbing the terrible truth. They're not trying to kill us. They want to transform us. Make us controllable. More than that, Raj said. They're trying to create a new form of life. One that combines organic adaptability with crystalline permanence. And they've been working on this for centuries. A sound behind her. Nova spun, weapon raised, to find herself facing Dr. Helrix, the facility's lead researcher. Or what was left of him. His crystalline form was almost entirely consumed by organic growth, but his eyes were terribly aware. Beautiful, isn't it? He said, voice distorted. The next step in galactic evolution. The Conclave has guided species toward this for millennia. Commander Voss's execution merely accelerated our timeline. You're insane, Nova said, backing away. This is an evolution. It's an abomination. Helrix smiled, an expression made horrific by his transformed face. You say that now, but soon all of humanity will understand. In fact, he gestured to a bank of monitors. They already are. The screen showed feeds from across human space. On colony after colony, people were changing. The weapons weren't just in this facility, they were already deployed, lying dormant in water supplies and atmosphere processors, waiting for activation. Raj, Nova said urgently, tell Sterling he needs to shut down all colonial life support systems now. The bioweapons are... Something slammed into her from behind. As she fell, she caught a glimpse of more transformed scientists emerging from hidden doors. Her quantum stealth suit sparked and failed. Don't fight it, Lieutenant Reed, Herrick said, looming over her. The change is inevitable. The only question is whether humanity will accept it, or die resisting it. Nova's hand closed around a plasma charge. If she couldn't stop the weapons from spreading, she could at least ensure no more were created here. Raj, she gasped through the neural link, initiate protocol Omega. Full facility purge. But you're still inside. Do it. As the facility's fusion core began its catastrophic overload sequence, Nova looked up at her captors. You're right about one thing, she told Helrix. Change is inevitable. She triggered the plasma charge. The explosion ripped through the main lab, starting a chain reaction that would reduce the entire facility to atoms. Nova's last conscious thought was a prayer that the information she'd transmitted would be enough to warn Earth, enough to stop what was coming. Because now she understood the true horror. The Conclave hadn't just been developing weapons. They'd been developing a new future. And they were willing to burn the galaxy to make it reality. The breaking storm. Admiral Juneway stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Eternal Dawn, watching as the largest fleet in human history assembled around the Proxima staging point. The holographic display showed thousands of ships, everything from repurposed mining vessels to state-of-the-art battlecruisers. Latest intelligence from Heltar's network reported Strategic Officer Zara Patel, her dark eyes fixed on incoming data streams. The Conclave is activating their bioweapons across multiple sectors. We've already lost contact with 3 outer colonies. June's weathered face remained impassive, but his hands tightened on the command rail. Lieutenant Reed's final transmission had changed everything. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about survival. Status of the evacuation protocols? He asked. 70% of identified colonies have implemented complete life support shutdowns, Zara answered. But the rest? She didn't need to finish. They all knew what was happening to the others. The Admiral turned to the massive tactical display dominating the bridge's forward section. Red markers showed confirmed infection zones, spreading like cancer through human space. But there were also green points of light, Conclave facilities identified by their allies, each one a potential source of the biological nightmare. Commander Voss showed us their crimes. June addressed the bridge crew. Lieutenant Reed showed us their true purpose. Now we show them humanity's answer. A new hologram appeared, Dr. Helrix's transformed face, captured in Reed's final moments. The image still sent chills through everyone who saw it. The Conclave believes they can force evolution at gunpoint, June continued. They believe we'll submit to their ascension or die trying to resist it. He gestured, and the tactical display shifted, showing their fleet's planned attack vectors. They're wrong. Because they forgot something fundamental about humanity. We don't just resist. We adapt. We overcome. And when pushed far enough, we strike back. The bridge doors hissed open, admitting Captain Marcus Sterling in the crystalline form of Heltar. The Conclave defector's surface rippled with urgent patterns. Admiral, Heltar's resonant voice filled the bridge. We've decoded the transmission patterns. The bioweapons aren't just changing bodies, they're rewriting neural pathways, creating a unified consciousness. The Conclave isn't trying to rule the galaxy. They're trying to become it. June nodded grimly. Then we cut out the cancer before it spreads. All ships, battle formations. This ends today. The human fleet moved like a storm front, darkness flowing through space. Ahead lay the Conclave's core worlds, their crystalline cities gleaming with false promise. But this time, humanity wasn't coming as supplicants or diplomats. Multiple hostile contacts, Zara announced. Conclave fleet emerging from hyperspace. There, by the gods. The enemy ships were unlike anything they'd seen before. Crystal and flesh merged into impossible forms, organic matter pulsing through transparent hulls. The corrupted vessels moved with unnatural coordination, like appendages of a single vast organism. They've done it to their own ships, Marcus breathed. Their whole civilization is transforming. Not for long. June's voice cut through the horror. All vessels, execute jump sequence Delta. Strike packages. Prepare for simultaneous deployment. Today we remind the Conclave why humanity survived its own dark ages. The battle erupted across multiple star systems. Human ships, guided by Heltar's intelligence, struck at key facilities with surgical precision. But the Conclave's transformed fleet fought with horrifying efficiency, each ship acting as part of a greater whole. Admiral, Zara's voice rose above the chaos. New energy signature detected. Something's emerging from the core worlds. The tactical display showed it, a massive structure rising from the Conclave capital, part ship, part station, part living entity. Its surface writhed with the same corruption they'd seen in Helrix's facility, but on a stellar scale. That's their hub, Heltar said urgently. The focal point of their consciousness. If we can destroy it, we can break their connection, June finished, and give the transformed a chance to fight back. He opened a channel to the entire fleet. All ships, form up on the Eternal Dawn. We're going to punch straight through their lines. The human fleet consolidated, forming a spear pointed at the Conclave's heart. Enemy ships threw themselves into their path, crystal hull shattering, organic matter burning in space. But humanity's vessels pressed forward, driven by desperation and determination. Multiple hits, Zara reported as another volley struck their shields. Hull breaches on decks 5 through 8. We're losing ships, Admiral. June watched the tactical display, calculating vectors, measuring chances. They were close enough now to see the horror of what the Conclave had become, a vast, pulsing mass of crystal and flesh, reaching out to consume everything in its path. Clear me a channel, he ordered. All frequencies, all languages. He took a deep breath, thinking of Lyravas's sacrifice, of Nova Reed's warning, of every human life hanging in the balance. This is Admiral Juneway of Earth. You tried to break us, to change us, to make us submit. But humanity doesn't bow to monsters. We destroy them. He nodded to his weapons officer. All ships, nuclear deployment. Let's remind the galaxy why they used to fear us. The human fleet's response would reshape the stars themselves. And in the burning light of their defiance, the future of the galaxy hung in the balance. Dawn of a new order. Nuclear fire blossomed across the void, turning space itself into an inferno. The massive consciousness hub, that twisted amalgamation of crystal and flesh, began to fracture under humanity's desperate assault. But as Admiral Juneway watched from the burning bridge of the Eternal Dawn, he realized their victory might cost them everything. Hull integrity critical, Zara reported, blood streaming from a gash on her forehead. We've lost 30% of the fleet. The radiation levels from our strikes are making large sections of the system uninhabitable. Through the chaos, Heltar's crystalline form pulsed with urgent patterns. The hub's destruction is causing a cascade effect. The neural network binding the transformed. It's collapsing. But the feedback. A scream cut through every communication channel, every neural link, every quantum encrypted frequency. Millions of voices, both human and conclave, crying out as their forced unity shattered. Gods help them, Marcus Sterling whispered, watching the tactical displays. On countless worlds, the transformed were falling, their hybrid bodies rejecting the sudden severance from the collective consciousness. No, June said firmly. Not gods. Us. He turned to Heltar. You said your original research was meant to heal, to enhance. Can it be repurposed? The crystalline being's surface rippled with comprehension. The baseline protocols, yes. If we can broadcast a stabilizing signal through the same network they used to spread the transformation. Do it, June ordered. All remaining ships, form a transmission web. We're not just destroying their control, we're giving them back their free will. The human fleet moved into position, creating a vast lattice of overlapping signal arrays. As the consciousness hub continued to burn, They began broadcasting Heltar's modified code, not to control or transform, but to stabilize, to heal. On the surface of worlds below, the transformed began to change again, not returning to their original forms entirely, but finding balance between flesh and crystal, between unity and individuality. They were becoming something new, but this time by choice rather than coercion. Multiple quantum signatures approaching, Zara announced. Massive fleet. It's the Outer Rim Alliance. Ships appeared from hyperspace, vessels from species that had watched from the margins, waited to see if humanity would fall. Now they came not as observers, but as allies. This is Premier Nix of the Alliance, a new voice declared across all channels. We witnessed Commander Voss's execution. We saw Lieutenant Reed's sacrifice. We will not stand idle while the Conclave attempts to consume all life. The reinforcements engaged what remained of the Conclave's corrupted fleet, giving the human ships time to complete their broadcast. Hours passed like centuries as the battle raged across multiple star systems. Then, gradually, the shooting stopped. Signal reaching 98% of affected zones, Heltar reported. The transformation is stabilizing. They're waking up. June watched as ships across the battlefield went dark, then relit with normal power signatures. The organic corruption flowing through their hulls didn't vanish, but it changed, becoming ordered, controlled. On the planets below, millions of transformed beings were regaining consciousness, different, but themselves. Admiral, Marcus said softly, look. The main display showed the ruins of the Conclave's capital. Among the crystalline spires, figures were emerging, council members who had hidden from their own transformation, architects of the forced evolution plan. They were surrendering to mixed teams of human and Alliance peacekeepers. Signal from the surface, Zara announced. It's being broadcast on Commander Voss's old frequency. June straightened despite his injuries. Put it through. The hologram that appeared showed a face both familiar and strange. Dr. Helrich's. The transformation still evident in his hybrid form, but his eyes now clear, aware, and filled with tears. We thought we were guiding evolution, he said, his voice rough with emotion. We thought we could force transcendence. Instead, we became monsters. But you showed us a different way. Not conquest, not forced unity, but choice. Growth through cooperation rather than coercion. June looked around his bridge, at humans working alongside Heltar, at Alliance ships protecting Earth vessels, at transformed beings choosing to help their former victims. That's always been humanity's true strength, he said. Not our ability to fight, but our ability to forgive, to find better ways forward. In the days that followed, a new order began to emerge from the ashes of the old. The Conclave's remnants were brought to justice, their weapons destroyed, their secrets exposed. But their victims, both willing and unwilling, were offered choices. Some chose to keep their transformed states, finding new purpose in bridging the gap between organic and crystalline life. Others accepted treatments to reverse the changes. All were given voices in shaping the galaxy's future. 1 month after the battle, June stood in the newly constructed Memorial Hall on Earth, staring up at the holographic portraits of those whose sacrifices had made victory possible. Commander Lyravos, who exposed the truth. Lieutenant Nova Reed, who gave her life to warn humanity. And countless others who had fought, died, and endured. They're calling it the Evolution War, Marcus said, joining him. The moment when humanity proved it could face gods and monsters without becoming either. June nodded slowly. No more conclaves. No more forced unity. Every species, every individual, choosing their own path forward. And if new threats arise? Then we face them together, June replied, not because we're forced to, but because we choose to. That's the difference between evolution and transcendence. One is imposed, the other is earned. As if in answer, the hall's crystal walls pulsed softly, a reminder of how organic and mineral, individual and community, past and future, could coexist in harmony. The galaxy would never be the same, but perhaps, finally, it could be better. Above the hall, Stars shone in the night sky, no longer symbols of conquest or transformation, but beacons of possibility. Humanity had faced its greatest test and emerged not just victorious, but wiser. The price had been high, but the dawn it bought was worth the cost. A new age was beginning, and this time, everyone would have a voice in shaping it.